Will the Xbox Series X be $600 at launch? Could it be $600 at launch? At first, I honestly thought no. I thought, no way. They're going to do everything they can to avoid that $500 plus mark at launch. However, after seeing videos over at Digital Foundry talking about the price of the hardware that we're getting, then leaks of the Series S and the rumored price points there, and now an article by Paul Tassi over at Forbes, I'm beginning to think that this is a distinct possibility, which honestly would go a long way in explaining why we've yet to hear anything from either Xbox or PlayStation. They probably both want to see what the other's price point is. They're obviously playing chicken with the price point. And so today I want to discuss the possibility of a $600 price point and discuss what this means for the Series X. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. We are the XoneBros. We're your positive gaming and Xbox community, all Xbox all the time. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and join us every day, every week as we drop podcasts, videos, and everything Xbox. Okay, so Paul Tassi over at Forbes has an excellent piece about what a $600 price point could mean for the Xbox Series X and why he thinks they shouldn't go there. I've linked the article in the description below, so make sure you go check it out. Share it everywhere you can. Paul Tassi does make a couple of excellent points, which I'd like to specifically highlight. However, before we do, I do want to say that I think from a PR standpoint, and I said this before, I said this a couple weeks ago on the podcast, that Xbox cannot afford to have the more expensive high-end box, even if they have the more powerful machine. The last two generations, the more expensive console, it's just not fared well. Both have been crushed at launch. I think momentum is incredibly important to the console war, the console sales, the launch of a console, in the success, especially at the beginning. We've seen that with the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and then again we saw that with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And while the price point isn't the only factor that went into the success or failure of the console competition having a higher price point, certainly it doesn't help with that initial momentum of sales, and I think that initial momentum is incredibly important. The Xbox One was never able to recover. Now, the PlayStation 3 did eventually recover, but it wasn't until the very end of the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 lifestyle that they did end up recovering. And I think that's the reason we haven't seen any price point from either Xbox or PlayStation 5, because they know this, and neither wants to reveal their hand before the other because they want to be the cheaper box on the market. They want to come in at that price point and get that initial momentum. Now, this ultimately will benefit us as consumers and as gamers, but as of right now, we're left in the dark, and speculation is beginning to mount that a $600 price point might not be out of the picture. So let's go over to Paul Tassi's article. He starts out and he says, I too was all in on a shared $500 price point for both the PS5 and the Series X, but given the sheer amount of power Microsoft has crammed into the Series X, $600 does not seem out of the question for the package. Given that otherwise Microsoft may take too great a loss on the unit, combine that with rumblings about $600 at least showing up as the placeholder price for the Series X in some retail stores, and it doesn't feel impossible. Now, I do think he does mention that Xbox willing to take a loss to get people into their ecosystem. I do think they're willing to take a loss, and I think they're willing to take a drastic loss. At least that's what I'm hoping for anyways, right? I think they see Game Pass as the future. They see Game Pass Ultimate as the future, not consoles. And so because of that, I think willing to take a loss on your console to get people initially into your system, into your ecosystem, is where they see the value. At least, again, that's what I'm hoping for. Paul Tassi continues and says, my main concern is not really the value here. I fully believe that yes, you are probably getting more than your money's worth of tech for $600 compared to similar specs you might find in a gaming PC, where $600 is nothing in that space. And yet in console land, the last time a console was priced at $600, it was the PS3, which launched disastrously because of it. And the last time Xbox overpriced at $500 for the Xbox One to Sony's $400 PS4, it set it back, and so far it has never caught up. I understand that Series X is a hugely powerful console, but so is the PS5. And unless Xbox can throw up a side-by-side showing exactly how much better Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed or something looks or runs on the Series X over the PS5, I just don't think they have much of a case to justify a higher price. The Halo Infinite delay only makes the launch situation worse, and so they can even less afford missteps due to price on top of that. The Series S, he says, only makes things more complicated. We still don't know exactly how the console will perform, but if Microsoft's rationale is, well, if you don't want massive power, spend less for the Series S, that seems like it will lead to a whole lot of people buying PS5s and Series S's with far fewer Series X's sold, and the ones that did pick Microsoft in that situation are now getting a worse performing console than Sony's. This is why I've never really understood the purpose of launching a good and bad console side by side in a new generation, as both come with massive trade-offs. Price versus performance, etc. While Sony only really has one main choice. It's just whether you want discs or digital, with no performance trades and a smaller price gap, and the cheaper consoles don't lose anything except disc resale potential. He closes, I think it will be a mistake if Series X is priced at $600. I think to have a prayer at launching, not even on par with Sony, but to be competitive with Sony, they have to price match. We should know more this next month once these two companies finally agree to reveal their prices to the public. Now, keep in mind, all this is hypothetical. We honestly have no idea what the price point is, what it's going to launch at. However, the fact that we haven't seen a price point, I think both are playing chicken with each other. And I do think that does bode well for us, but it also could mean that maybe both are planning to launch at that $600 price point. Ultimately, I think it's paramount. I agree with Paul Tassi here. For Xbox success right out of the gate, that Xbox needs to at least match the PlayStation price. However, I think it would go a long way if they were somehow able to come in underneath PlayStation's price, right? Again, I believe the reason we've heard nothing about price points for either console is because both console makers know this, and they've learned this from the last two generations of consoles. And so they're playing chicken with each other. They're playing price chicken with each other. We'll find out obviously soon, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you think the price of the Series X will be? Will it be $600? Do you think it's critical for them to come in cheaper, or is that not as huge of a deal in your eyes? Let me know in the comments below. Again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, enjoy your day, and I will see you guys next time.